What is up, and welcome back to another episode of the Growth 48 podcast. In this week's podcast, you'll be learning about high-level mastery when it comes to Facebook marketing, and our special guest is none other than my good friend, Nicholas Kuzmich. Now, if you've never met Nicholas, he is the founder of nicholaskuzmich.com, the Accelerator Alliance, and the creator of the Rapid Scaling Matrix. He's also worked with the who's who, from Joe Polish to Anthony Robbins, and we're going to be talking about the 5 key elements that it actually takes to create a high, rapid scaling Facebook campaign. Now, before we continue today's podcast, if you missed last week's podcast, I had my good friend David Newell on there, and we talked about the 5 must-known facts when it comes to buying online business. So if you're looking to invest in an online passive business, go check out episode 2 that's in the show notes. So without further ado, please sit back and relax and enjoy today's amazing podcast with none other than Nicholas Kuzmich.
Welcome to the Growth 48 podcast, where we interview top entrepreneurs and investors to learn how to master their strategies and tactics, from sales systems and marketing automations to how and why they invest in companies.
All right, cool. So let's go over like the quick, 411 or the bird's eye view of that 30,000 plus ROI return.
Yeah.
So before you actually started executing it, what were some kind of key thought processes that you were doing to kind of strategize this whole marketing plan?
Yeah. So do you want me to talk a little bit? Are we recording, by the way?
Sure. Why not?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, to see how proper we need to be, right?
Oh, exactly.
Well, I can give you the kind of the situation we were in first, and that will paint the picture of how and why I came up with the strategy that I did. Does that help?
Beautiful.
Okay, so the situation was, a good friend of mine runs a successful marketing business. Well, not a marketing, it's a business coaching business. Has 4 events that he holds every year, and those are his key events because that's how he onboards people into his coaching program. So he was approaching, it was about 6 weeks out, 5 or 6 weeks out, approaching this upcoming live event. It's a 2-day live event, and he needed to fill it. So in context, he had a really bad experience with Facebook in the past. He had hired an agency to do this for him. He paid $80,000 in ad spend plus fees, and it resulted in, did he eventually make the money back? Maybe over the duration of a year or so. But it just wasn't a pleasant experience. So, he came to me very gun shy. He was like, dude, I don't have a good experience with Facebook. It kind of burned me in the past. But I do really need to hold this 2-day event. My ideal is having 50 to 70 paid people show up at the event. And paid means anywhere from $100 to $200 a ticket. So not high ticket, but he just needs those people paying to show up to the event.
Sure.
So he came to me, and here was a challenge. A couple sides to it. Challenge number 1 is that we had to fill the event quickly because we were about 5 to 6 weeks out. And because it's a live event, it's not like we could have dragged this on or rescheduled the event. The dates were set. It's hey, let's fill it. So that was one thing. And then the other kind of issue to that was, well, how can we accelerate the velocity of a prospect buying a ticket to this event, but how do we do that in the kind of like the least douchebag way possible? Because on Facebook, you technically shouldn't approach it directly with a direct sale. And those are the people who fail right now on Facebook, are the ones who are like, hey, I'm holding a live event. Let's run some ads to the live event and see what happens. And when you do that, you're not going to succeed because kind of it breaks the rules of Facebook, if you will. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So here was our scenario, essentially. Guy needed to put 50 to 70 people in a room at a $200 price point. We were 5 weeks out. We needed to accelerate sales, but we had to do it in a way that didn't diminish his brand, and we had to do it in a way that stayed congruent with Facebook. And if we could do that, then, we would see this as a success. If we didn't, we would actually hurt his brand, and people would think that he's just kind of another douchebag sales guy. So what we did was I crafted up this idea that, well, I still am familiar with, and I think the best way to get someone into your ecosystem is through a lead magnet. So we had to come up with a lead magnet first. And then on the thank you page of that lead magnet, we had to what I call Godfather the goodie. And that means kind of make an offer that they can't refuse. And the second part of that is take that offer away from them in order to create urgency. So But how do we do that in such a way that ensures that we're not kind of being too salesy about it? So long story short is the first part we had to do was pinpoint this prospect. We had to know who his ideal customer and client was, how are we going to find them, and how do we go after the lowest hanging fruit? So we had a few things going for us. Number one, he had an emailing list. Now, his open rate when he sent an email wasn't all that high, but we knew that he had a decent sized mailing list. So the first thing we did is we uploaded that mailing list as a custom audience. And from that custom audience, we were able to kind of direct some messages to them. The second thing we kind of knew is that this event was happening in California. So if we're going after lowest hanging fruit, let's not try to go nationwide. California is a mecca of seminar attendees. So to be able to go after California specific would eliminate this need of people having to worry about flights and hotel rooms and all that other stuff. We'll just go after people who are most likely to buy the ticket and the show up. Make sense so far?
Oh, yeah.
So from there, the next step, once we kind of identified who we were going after as a target audience, the second was, well, what can we give to them in their target market that is kind of the highest value? But not only highest value, we were interested in having this kind of magnet allow him stand out from his marketplace. So not only did we want it unique from everything else in the marketplace, we needed it to be unique to him. So this was kind of a process or some kind of a goodie or some kind of a strategy that only he did to make him kind of elevate his position of credibility and authority in the marketplace. So we went through I have a 6-stage magnet building process, and we basically took him through that process, developed a killer magnet, and now put that magnet specifically in front of those people that we identified as the lowest hanging fruit, which included cold audiences and his warm email list through a custom audience.
Any lookalikes from that custom?
So how we did the cold audiences is we created a local lookalike specific to the area, and then we layered that up on top of a cold audience to make it kind of a little more specific. Then obviously we took him through my 7-stage ad writing process, which we didn't take him through it. I just basically followed it. Very specific to the market, and I think it's kind of a key factor of the whole thing. But we put together a 7-stage ad writing process. We filled out the template. We got in front of the right people. And then here's kind of where the money started to happen. Number one, we took advantage of the thank you page. And so a lot of people, when they offer a lead magnet, they offer that lead magnet, and then on the thank you page, they're like, congratulations, here's your lead magnet. Instead, we utilized that piece of web real estate to make an offer. Now, we did it through a very specific way, and I have a process that I call instant influence, and it's a video script that covers 9 fundamental things that you need to cover in this kind of a quick sale approach. But I gave him the script. I said, hey, this is the outline for the script. I need you to fill this in that's specific to your business. He filled it in. He recorded the video. And then we put that on the thank you page. And essentially it's, hey, thanks for, being interested in this magnet. I'm assuming if you're interested in this, I have something that I want to let you know about. And it follows a very specific process. But at the end of the video, it's essentially an offer to attend this event. Now, where the spin comes in is, one, it was a discounted offer. So typical to a one-time OTO, the typical price was $200, and he said, hey, you know what? Let me give it to you for $100. So that was one element. And the second element that kind of created the movement a little bit faster, because I believe there's only really 2 reasons why someone doesn't buy. And it's one, because they don't understand or they don't think it's right for them, or B, they feel like they have time to make that decision. So we wanted to eliminate both, first with a great video that talked about why it was right for them and give them a nice kind of discount. And 2, we said this offer is only available for the next 24 hours. And there was a timer on that page, essentially, that counted down from 24 hours. Now, the beauty of it is we were using a software that allowed that timer to be specific to anytime anybody hit that page. So it wasn't a one-time timer for everybody who hit that page. It was a timer that basically initiated anytime anybody hit that page. So it was a different timer for everybody that counted down from 24 hours. So they saw this offer, the offer was made, and a percentage of the people, in this case, 18 people, took him up as an offer. And basically for a $97 ticket item offer, we were getting those at about $70 a pop. So you made a little bit of money, kind of broke even. But that wasn't the end of the story. So the follow-up to that was they would get 3 emails, one right away, one with 12 hours left, and one with 6 hours left. And in the email, it basically said, "Hey, here's your content." It gave some more content. It said, "Oh, by the way, don't forget your offer expires in 12 hours or 6 hours or whatever it was." And the beauty of it is we could actually integrate the live timer that was specific to them into the email. So now if they're seeing like 6 hours left, they're actually seeing the timer count down from 6, counting down. And then if they clicked over to the web page, they see the identical, exactly synced timer on that web page. So like no BS, no shenanigans. It was an actual legitimate countdown.
Yeah, it's real scarcity.
Yeah. And here's where kind of the genius happened. At the same time, I created a retargeting audience for 24 hours. So anytime someone hit that thank you page, there was a retargeting pixel placed on that page that only lasted for 24 hours. And so we created an ad within that 24-hour time slot that only showed to people who are in that 24-hour window, basically saying, "Hey, don't forget, your offer is about to expire." And it had some elements in the ad essentially that helped push the sale. And from that specific ad, we pushed 48 sales. So 48 plus 18 was 66. And those sales came in at $1.95 per sale. So paying $1.95 to get a $97 sale. Yeah, we put 66 people in the room total, which happened about 4 weeks after this campaign. This campaign ran for about 16 days or so. When the campaign ended, there was about a week lull, and then the event happened. And then at the event, he did his thing, 2-day high value, high offer. And then just make it a simple invitation. This is what we do. If you'd like more of it, we'd love you to participate. Of the 66 people, 32 said yes. It was an $18,000 price point, which gives us $776,000 in revenue. The ad spend from what we did there for him was $1,853.68. So when you take the 1,800 and change, you put that into the revenue, which was $576,000. That's where you get your big lift of about a 30,000% ROI.
Now, going back to the script that you gave him for the video, is this a traditional VSL or was he in front of the camera like in person?
Great question. It was an in-person thing, and I think that was very important for this purpose because he's a coach. Now, depending on the industry, because he's a coach, it was important that people got to see him, see a little bit of his personality, and see how he operated on camera. So this was a talking head direct-to-camera video.
And then obviously there wasn't a buy. Was there a buy button directly below it? Or was that time? Like if I see the thank you page, this coach comes on, he's like, "Hey Amir, thank you so much for getting your lead magnet. By the way, these pains, these problems, you're agitated and you're solving it." Would he direct me then to like a magic button that pops up at a certain time, or was there an add to cart button below the video always?
Yeah, no, in this case it was right there from the beginning. Now keep in mind this video was only 6 minutes long, intentionally.
Okay.
And so, in 6 minutes, you have to cover some very specific things and you don't have too much time to do it. But in this case, because the video was so short and it wasn't at all in any way, shape, or form positioned as a traditional VSL, there was no real hard offer made. And I think that's what's key to this, because in a normal scenario, you could do a 20-minute VSL or a 40-minute VSL. You could go through a typical VSL offer. But in this particular case, again, we needed to kind of tone down the douchebaggery and the sales side of it. And
who has 40 minutes to watch a thank you page?
That's true too. Yeah. But we had to kind of tone down the sales side of it and go heavy on other things. And that's what kind of allowed this process to work the way it did.
I'm curious, did you, by any chance, were you testing any social proof below the video, like those Facebook comments or even like previous live streams from Periscope?
Yeah, a great question. So this guy doesn't scope, so there wasn't anything like that. We could have probably put some Facebook comments or social proof below it, but in this case we didn't. The only thing that appeared below the actual button to enroll was supporting text about the event and what someone could expect. So it was kind of like a mini sales page, but again, much more conversational, less salesy, and was just kind of benefit-driven copy that said that supported the event itself.
Now let's go back to the lead magnet, because you said in the first page of the lead magnet, you also had the same offer for 48 hours.
No, oh no. So What do you mean, on the lead magnet itself? Or?
Itself, yeah. Was the offer in the lead magnet itself as well?
So there was a call to action. It couldn't be as specific because we can't be like, hey, you have 48 hours or 24 hours to participate in this, because
Sure.
anyone's going to get it at any time. But it did push people to that offer page. And if they just happened to get in on that offer page within 24 hours, they would have seen the offer. If it was after 24 hours, they'd be automatically redirected to another page that expired that offer.
Interesting. And the lead magnet was just a generalized type of, like, I guess a mini book, like a 6 page, 10 page. I'm just wondering kind of like how did you actually create it? What was the formatting and structure of it?
Yeah, so it was a shorter one. It was about 4 or 5 pages long, which is what I like. It followed again my specific way of doing lead magnets, but in short, what it did was it took one small sliver element from his larger general coaching processes.
Mm-hmm.
And it took that one small sliver element that would move the needle the most for somebody, and offered that in the form of a magnet. Plus, the benefits of some of that is that it also seeded that it was part of a much bigger process. And so by seeding that, it gives you an idea that, yeah, I'd kind of like to see what's next and what more I could do with it.
I'm always curious though of how many people actually open up the PDF on their desktop or their phone and actually go through
Great
it.
question. And in my case is I always take it from the perspective of, number one, um, if someone, I take it from the perspective of, if someone does consume it, it has to be the most stellar piece of content that they're going to consume in that 4 to 7 minutes that it's going to take to consume it.
Yeah.
And all the elements of a great magnet have to be there, including a strong call to action and the seeding and all that. But my reality will tell me, that maybe 10% of the people will actually go through it itself. So to me, it doesn't matter whether they do or whether they don't. I just want to know that if they do, it's going to give them the value that I need it to. It's going to be highly consumable and pre-framey the best I can. But if it doesn't, I have other mechanisms in place to get the message in front of them.
Awesome. Well, Nick, I just want to thank you so much. These have, been really, really amazing tips and, straight from the horse's mouth. You breathe, you live this every single day. I call you the Facebook wizard.
I like that. I like that better than ninja. That's better.
Ninja. Yeah, ninja's
I
overplayed. Or
think
you're a
so.
wizard,
I like that.
right? You got more power than a
That's
ninja,
right.
right? And it doesn't have to be complicated because everything you just told us, if you really break it down, it's quite simple.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think the big thing is like taking what you know and applying it, and then also tying in the various pieces together rather than treating them as individual things.
Sure. And there is an overall theme over here. A, you really know who you're talking to. B, you're delivering 10x value. You're not giving one of those like really, really shitty ass lead magnets that everyone's trying to push
Right.
around. C, you're positioning your brand with trustworthiness, openness. You're not being gimmicky. You're not doing these like shitty ass VSLs that, honest to God, they look like from the 90s
Yep.
and look like this is cheese.
Right.
Like this is cheese. I'm not gonna buy from you. I want to buy from a human being. And truth be told, I think the standard VSLs, I don't think so they're that effective anymore. And just based on my own businesses and the clients I work with, I
Mm.
think it's gonna go back to more human versions where a person's in front of the camera and that person knows how to communicate.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I think it has to do a lot with the business as well. But for most
yes.
of our businesses, we're the person behind it, and people work with us. Or if you're a coach or a consultant, they want to know who they're working with, and hiding behind a PowerPoint deck with a few words in front of it may not do it anymore.
Sure. Even product, like for example, we've constructed VSLs, which is almost like a movie trailer where we're selling emotions, we're
Mm.
selling the future, we're selling a
Right.
lifestyle,
Right.
right? So there's actually almost no words in it. Maybe at the most you have 25
Mm.
words, but it's a powerful trailer pre-framing you and showing you of that lifestyle you can live if you follow these
Right.
principles.
Right. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm really happy you brought that up with the whole VSL and him being on camera and him humanizing the brand of his company.
Right. Right.
So Nick, if people want to find out more information about Facebook marketing, what you do, and if they can work with you and how you can help them out, what is the best place to reach you
Yeah,
at?
great question. I mean, I usually typically send people to my website, and you can, nicholaskuzmich.com. There's tons of, information there. There's a blog and a few other great things. But if you kind of want to dig a little deeper, I've just like literally just a couple days ago released what I call the Behind Closed Doors workshop.
And the reason why I call it that is because most of my highest level stuff I've never taught to public. Usually someone who runs a high level mastermind or something like that, people paying anywhere from 25 to 100K to be a part of, these guys will have their masterminds invite me to come and do some high level training and teaching to their people. And that's kind of why it's always been behind closed doors. But what I've done is I've taken kind of the overall principles of these 1 day and 2 day workshops that I've held, and I've condensed it down to the most impactful 40 minutes. And I've turned that into what I call the behind closed doors training. And we're giving that away for free for a limited time. So if anyone wants that could be at nicsblog.com. So nicsblog.com/secret. They can just opt in. They'll see the kind of high level behind closed doors training. Again, this is usually only available to people who've paid a ton of money for it, but I'm releasing kind of a higher level summary of it over there. So that might be of great value to some of your listeners here.
That's beyond great value. I highly recommend anybody listening out there, go check it out. I'm going to check it out.
Nice.
All right, Nick, thanks so much for coming on the Growth 48 podcast.
All right, brother.
Have an amazing
You
day.
too.
This has been the Growth 48 podcast. Thanks for listening.